does not sound white.
By the time the 70s and the 80s came, we started to see a different naming structure of black American names. People came out with names like Laquan, Lamar, Latrell, LeBron, Devon, Darnell, Jaquan, Raheem, Raekwon, Rashawn. And for the women, you saw a lot of Monique, Tamika, Tanisha, Chantel, Lakeisha, Lashonda, Lakendra, Latoya, Deja, Dashana, Daisha, Danisha. These names were, in fact, a rejection of normal Christian names that typical black Americans had in the past.
You ever like resistance rhythm? Names like Shaquana, DeAndre, Toya, just make they were made deliberate. They were acts of resistance. See, after centuries of African stripped of our culture, slavery, Smith, Jackson, Johnson, something shifted in the 19th. Black folks weren't just marching anymore. They were reclaiming black power, fist in the air, naming it Shanique. Wanted to name her stand.
Now, that style of naming came 60s, 70s, got real popular in the 80s, and it was a rejection of what was in the past, a freedom of expression. Unfortunately, black Americans paid a heavy price for these names because these names started to be associated with poverty, crime, and a lack of intelligence. If you saw a person by the name of Jaquan or Jalil or Laquan, you would automatically think, especially if you were Caucasian, that number one, this person is from the inner city, and number two, they're from a poor section of the inner city, which is ravaged in crime and a low IQ. And of course, that's not true, but we start to see a prejudice towards people with these names, especially when an individual graduated college with the same accolades as a white student and they were applying to a job. What we found out was something very interesting.
University of Berkeley conducted a name discrimination study, and what they found is that Lakeisha and Jamel are less likely to be hired than Emily and Gray. They sent out 83,000 job applications to 108 Fortune 500 employers. Of these 83,000 job applications, half of them had white sounding names and the other half had black sounding names. Applicants with black sounding names were called back 10% fewer times across the board, and even less when it came to specific companies, despite having comparable applications to their counterparts. The author's purpose for doing this study was to understand discrimination in the employment application process. What's more interesting is that these Fortune 5 companies use algorithms and third party technology to screen their application.
Now, as you heard this lady say, UC Berkeley did a study and they found out that people with names like Jamar or Javon or Deshaun, if they graduated with the same accolades as a white candidate, they were 10% less likely to get the job. Now, again, most people will say, well, that could have been back then. This is not now. This is 2025. You can get sued for doing something like that. You can't discriminate against somebody because of their name, right?
Black people. I had my first day today at a new job, and basically, without going too far into it, my job is to schedule care for people that need it. A lot of this job is going through applications for people who want to give care. I learned today if it is a name that does not sound white, we are to move it to the completed tasks. We then note your application as moved due to name standards. Now it's my first day, so I asked,
my name is Charles.
I'm black, I'm very light skinned, obviously.
You don't know what I am,
she
boy.
says, and I said, you mean like our names? Like our names? Because I thought it was like a brand standard, like, no, it's literally our names. So I just want you to know, and everybody else to know this 100% happens.
Now, this is a lady saying that maybe these people just didn't know, but I'm light skinned and I also consider myself black. And these people are telling me that if I come across a name like X, Y, and Z, to immediately tarnish the name or to tarnish the application, because we have a certain standard here in the business. But wait, there's more.
I have 122 screenshots of people, their names, their phone numbers, and their email addresses, and the reason why they weren't hired directly because of their name. Then I have this. I didn't even make it 1 hour. After I got my heart rate to stop spiking, I went and found the owner like I planned and asked her directly, super calm. She didn't deny any of it. She admitted that it's, fucked up. She apologized. I told her that I don't think this is going to be a good fit because this is not something that I would be willing to participate in. I made sure to keep it like professional and not scary, like not threatening. So I have a phone call with my guy later this afternoon. I'm gonna go ahead and let him tell me how to proceed. I know that this happens. It's just that I personally have never experienced this type of training. If they have a name that sounds like this or that's jacked up, we don't do it because we have standards. Like, I guess we're going on a journey, and eventually we're gonna say who it is.
And again, this video shows more evidence that you have certain employers out there who are trying to stay away from black people. And what I'm talking about is black Americans. And it's not just black Americans. Also, Africans have this problem. I know about some Africans who are in the UK, and if they were to use a real name like Olufemi, they would also get discriminated against. So what Africans started to do was to adopt a Christian name, all right? So they would have their official African name, and then they would adopt a white Christian name, and then they would put this particular name on their job application or to seek employment. A similar case is deriving in America, but people still may use their name Laquan. But if they have a middle name like Michael, what you start to see is people using their name like Michael. And this was true even in the 50s. You would find some women named like Willie, Billy. It's very, very popular. These are names that men could use with women, especially back in what you call the country, in the old South, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. And some of those women just didn't want to be called Willie or Billy or something like that. So they would adopt a middle name and then professionally use that as the middle name. But now if you're Laquan Javon Jackson, then you have two names that are very similar like this. So what is the solution? The solution is, well, number one, you can still get jobs, but it may be harder. Or you have to work with your own individual community to create employment to understand that these names of these people doesn't mean that they don't have talent. And that's the one big take that the black community has to understand. At a certain point, you have to stop depending on somebody else to hire you. And that's the beauty of black America. It is really a large white space for people, and when I'm talking about white space, I mean opportunity for people to grow their wealth, grow their skill set, and then you can hire your own people the way that you would like. Now, again, not everybody can be an entrepreneur, but the reality is that once you form communities and you form people that you understand and you know what they can do, then now you can use that talent that some of these whites are going to reject. And that's the beautiful thing about being in black America or any black country, or being in black America, the microcosm we call black America, or in black African countries, is that talent is a lot and it's overlooked. And recruiting that talent into the community does great things. And it doesn't matter what that person's name is. That person's name could be DeAndre, it could be Jalil, it could be Marquise. Because we know that you can be a name Marquise and that you can be highly intelligent. That your name doesn't mean that you're dumb. You can be Raheem and have Harvard University level of intelligence. But some other people may not want a Raheem working into their business, right? And so what happens? If that person can't come back to Black America or to the Black community, then we lose that talent that we can build our community off of. And see, that's what the name should have been used for. The names Rashad, Rashawn, Raheem should have been call outs to Black businesses to hire their own individual people in the same way that Jews do it, in the same way that other groups do it that were also ostracized. You didn't think that Russians were ostracized a little bit, or other groups like Italians, they had to end up making their own bank, like Bank of America. They found a way to employ their people and get into the system. And still, Black Americans are going to have to address that same particular issue. Black people are still going to be ostracized. I mean, especially with the DEI things coming, you got AI coming, people can be more selective and be a little bit more open about their prejudices. It might not lack lawsuits. Look, we don't want a person named Latrell working here. We don't even want to give a person named Leandre a shot. We don't want to give Letitia a shot. Then who has to give them that shot? The Black community, or entrepreneurs in the Black community, have to then give them that shot. If we're not going to give it to them, who will give it to them? Somebody has to give them that shot. And if we are not going to do it, we need to be honest about not doing it, but then not complaining that, hey, these companies that whites run don't want to give you a shot, but you have every opportunity in your community to give yourself the shot. And once you have your own ability to give yourself the shot, well, everything will work out right. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson back at it again. Another episode of The Celebrity John. Appreciate you for all you do. Subscribe to the bell. We're out.
Done it again this year. They're going to be tremendous along that defensive line again.
Yeah, it's just kind of their identity. You know they're going to play physical football. You know they're going to be hard.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. Yeah, I have no idea. Okay. I had to go back and check that out because I didn't finish watching it earlier. What? Oh, I can't watch that. They're not going to let me show that. I know y'all seen that Bears game last night, though. We still won anyway. Get this light out. Yeah, that was crazy. He had to do it like that. There you go. Whew. I haven't tried to get that off me for a moment. I think you talking about pigments, huh? I keep getting these. See, I want to see weapons, and I have not seen it yet. So I'm not going to watch Tony Baker's review, but I will afterwards, after I see it.
Coming in, CBS Sports NFL analyst Emery Hunt. Emily, let's start right there with that one. What a finish in that game. Some situational football for the Bears and the Chiefs here. A great opportunity, too, for some of these young guys trying to make a roster.
Shout out to Jade Walker out of Texas A&M by way of Grand Valley State and what he was able to do. These are what the preseason games are for. Guys going out there trying to make plays, and he was someone that was high on coming out of the draft. My number 3 ex-wide receiver sacrifices himself for the catch. Was one of my big parts of his scouting report. You saw it right there on that touchdown play, making plays by another guy who made plays in the preseason, and Tyson Bagent, who now has a new contract with the Bears.
Absolutely, new contract for Bagent with the Bears. But let's also talk about the Bears starting quarterback, Caleb Williams. We saw him again tonight going against some of the starters. The first preseason action we've seen from him against the starters. What have we learned about Caleb in his second season as an NFL starting quarterback?
We're starting to see him play a little bit calmer in the pocket, Madeline, more so than we saw last year. I felt like every play last year was more like a blitz. But once Ben Johnson got there and he started to settle in, he started to be a little bit more deliberate in the pocket, more assertive and staying within the pocket and staying on script. A lot of the passes are coming out quick, they're coming out accurate, they're coming out decisive, and we're seeing a much better play from him overall. And it just gives you a lot of optimism and confidence going into the season because we saw DeAndre Swift back there. We know the run game is going to be where it needs to be. And he has legitimately 4 or 5 passing options that's going to be at his disposal in the regular offense. So I like what I saw from Caleb Williams so far this preseason. I'm excited to see what I will see from him come regular season time.
Absolutely, and a great opportunity again to be going against starters in the preseason. Speaking of going against starters, the Kansas City Chiefs getting their ones a lot of run. They opened their season on the Friday night of Week 1 in Sao Paulo. Chiefs are clearly in their dynasty era right now, despite the fact that they lost pretty significantly to the Eagles in the Super Bowl last year. They did address a lot of needs in this offseason. What did you see from Kansas City this preseason or perhaps Friday night that kind of assures you that they are going to be a team that remains atop the AFC?
Well, we saw big plays from Patrick Mahomes going downfield, and I thought that was something that we hadn't really seen in a while from Kansas City. And everyone still remembers that Rams-Chiefs game where they scored 1 billion points each, and they were looking for that Chiefs team again. Well, again, it's preseason, but we're seeing this team look like that in terms of how they're pushing the ball vertically down the field. Travis Kelce was able to lose some weight and came back looking svelte and looking younger in his receiving ability. And we also saw them now add some more weapons on the perimeter. The offensive line looks to be a lot better. I think they got better defensively, to be completely honest. So we know defense and offense will always be the thing with Kansas City. I think we'll see them being in the end once again, at least Final Four. I think that's the floor for Kansas City, AFC Championship game, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, listen, defense wins championships. You said they got better defensively. Speaking of defense wins championships, the Philadelphia Eagles, they played their final preseason game Friday night in East Rutherford against the Jets. 19-17 was the final score. The Eagles got the win. But if you're the Jets and you see this final score, you're thinking, okay, that was a close one. But you look at the box score, 10 penalties, 3 turnovers. That's got to be a pain point for these Jets, Emery.
Let's go back. Last week against the Giants, 7 penalties for 65 yards and a turnover. Then we go back 2 weeks against the Packers, 10 penalties for...
Let's go to the guitar solo part. It's about right here. Shit, me. plugin for me to use. I think I'm just gonna have to stick with my stick. Kind of wanted to jump out the box a little bit on that, man. Okay. All right. I'm definitely. So it's song one of them. One of them. Is it Slide? I think Slide is the other song. I think Slide's the other one. Okay. Guess I need to lay this one down too, find that little in between shit that's kind of like. I know that's dope. Give me a second, here we go.
First glance. All of the areas are still divided by loading screens, all the dialogue audio is the same, and for the most part, all the cutscenes are a one-to-one recreation of the original. Weirdness and all. Yep, still weird. That being said, after beating Delta, I still spotted some big changes made from classic MGS3, and I'm here to break them all down for you. Keep in mind, I'll be using PlayStation notation since I played using a DualSense controller. Snake Eater offered a wealth of options in how you approach certain encounters, but that came at the price of grafting systems onto a control scheme that started with the first Metal Gear Solid. Delta has been massively changed in this regard, with controls hewing much closer to modern sensibilities when you choose the new style option. Examples include aiming and firing over the shoulder with the triggers, moving weapons and equipment to the D-pad, crouching to the circle button, and climbing to the X button. Instead of rolling by hitting the crouch button while running, it's been completely moved to triangle, but you can still hold triangle to immediately go prone out of a roll. CQC has also been moved to the right trigger, but past that the concepts are pretty much the same, except there's no pressure-sensitive buttons like with the original release. For instance, instead of holding down circle super hard to slit someone's throat, you can just press X while they're in a hold. You can opt to use a hybrid version of the Legacy controls if you'd like, but that will switch you to the Legacy camera as well, which we'll discuss later. Aim and fire controls will still be on the trigger, and you can move back and forth while prone while aiming, but you can't move while in first person. Weapons will behave differently in Legacy style as well. As an example, the Mark 22 Tranquilizer in the original Snake Eater has very little bullet drop, allowing you to snipe headshots from far away. It behaves the same way in Legacy style in Delta, while there is heavy and noticeable bullet drop in the new style, presumably since the updated controls and third-person aiming would make it far too easy otherwise. While the updated 3DS version included crouch walking, the original Snake Eater and even the updated Subsistence only allowed you to sneakily walk upright. Moving while crouched meant you went prone and started crawling. In Delta, you can now press circle to crouch and continue to move while hunched over instead of going prone, and to fully lay down, you need to hold crouch. Stalking has also been moved to holding L1 while moving instead of using the D-pad, since the D-pad is now used for switching weapons and equipment. You can also now move in first person, albeit slowly, and movement while aiming while you're prone has been updated. Even though your gun will drop when crawling in first person, you can keep aiming in one direction while moving in any direction, making lateral movement and backwards crawling while aiming possible. It's all much more intuitive, rather than having to spin like a top. To round out the rest of the movement changes, you no longer have to keep holding the left stick into a piece of cover to flatten yourself to it. Snake will now stick to any cover you press up against, even if you let go of holding forward. While most of Delta is built on the bones of Snake Eater, there are some new animations, particularly with the CQC takedowns. While the slam in Snake Eater used to be just one animation over and over, you now get unique ones depending on how and from what direction you approach an enemy. While you can still open up the survival viewer to swap out your camo, you can now do so in a pop-up menu without needing to pause by holding up on the D-pad, selecting with the right stick, and pressing X. There's a small transition while Snake swaps into his new duds, but this is a much more intuitive way to swap into what you need without breaking up the experience. It only keeps your most recent combinations in this menu, so if you need a novel face camo with a particular uniform rather than the usual suspects, you'll still need to enter the survival viewer.
The codex receiver directly stimulates the small bones of your ear. No one but you will be able to hear it.
The 1960s may be too early for a fancy codec, but Naked Snake still has a radio. Just as in the original Snake Eater, the radio will open the full-screen dialog box, but you can now also pop it up while still in gameplay, making for a bit more streamlined experience. Another great quality of life update is that you can skip individual voice lines and even fast forward to different parts of the conversation by holding triangle without the audio cutting out entirely.
In a battle situation, you'll only have a split second to decide how to attack.
In the original, skipping anything would mean no more VO for the rest of the call. Also, if you interrogate enemies to learn secret frequencies to open doors, they'll show up on the radio dial here, so you can easily use them. Delta also adds a photo mode to the Snake Eater experience. You can enter photo mode through the pause menu and change things like depth of field, frames, filters, and even toggle the characters on and off. Your options will be limited while in a cutscene though. Just like the original, there's one Keratin frog in all 64 areas of the map that you can shoot to unlock special camo. Delta has added a camouflaged rubber duck to every area as well, which unlocks a different kind of camo. You can check your progress for both of these in the pause menu, as well as whether or not you found the one for that particular area. Just look for the checkbox. Delta's map is as bare bones as the originals, but now you're given a compass in your equipment menu that even highlights the direction you should be going, making it a quasi-minimap. This doesn't use a battery, so keep it equipped at all times if you'd like to keep your bearings more easily. Not only will you get on-screen pop-ups for actions you're performing in the field, you'll occasionally get reminders of where you need to be going, what you need to be doing, and even contextual button prompts like climb, pick up enemy, or the full laundry list of CQC actions you can perform while holding an enemy. You even get enemy indicators that let you know which direction an enemy saw you from. Some might say it clutters the screen a bit in what used to be a relatively minimalist UI, but there's no doubt it's helpful. You can also
Hey, listen, man. I don't want no smoke. I don't want no smoke from no YouTubers. Okay? I don't want no smoke. If I pissed anybody off, I'm sorry. I don't want no smoke. All right. And you know, we're gonna talk about it. I'm gonna tell you how I even got to even making this video. Bolo! All right, so I'm making this response video because of the video that Av put up the other day, which I want to say his name correctly because I guess he felt like I was intentionally saying his name wrong, but I butcher everybody's name wrong. But I'm putting this video out simply because one of my guys, he's an OG. He's pretty much known around here. A lot of people respect him. And he actually has 2 sons, and one of his sons actually is very interested in music production. And, you know, his son watches YouTube videos, and he's seen my video, and he's seen Av's video. And then my OG hit me up. He was like, yo, what the hell is this? And basically I was like, you know, I don't really get into that whole, you know, going back and forth with people like that. I don't do that because at the end of the day, like when you're a producer like me that actually works with artists and you're in the studios, you try to have like a good stress-free mind state when you try to go and you work with artists and stuff like that. And I don't really, you know, do like the response videos and stuff like that. But, you know, me and him talked for about 30 minutes and he was like, yo, you got to say something. And I was like, nah, I say, it's cool. I say, it's no problem or nothing like that. It's all good. He's like, nah. He said, no. He said, you got to say something. He said, I don't know what you're going to say, but you got to say something. So, you know, with my OG telling me that, I'm going to say something. And what I want to say is basically, if I've ever mentioned anybody, like anybody's names in any one of my YouTube videos, I actually respect you. Because I do not like to give free promo to anybody who I do not respect. Just being honest with you. And if some people take things the wrong way, I'm cool with that. It is what it is. Because I'm a gentle giant. You know, a lot of y'all think I'm short and fat, whatever, until y'all see me. Some of y'all see me at NAMM, y'all like, man, I ain't know you were that tall. I ain't know you that big. You know, I'm a gentle giant. You know, I don't want no smoke from nobody. But like I said before, if I mention your name, or if I mention anybody's names on my channel, I respect them. So, you know, with this past situation, you know, I made a video, and I made a video about people's numbers being down. And there was a few other videos that spawned from this, which I knew was going to be a few videos that spawned from it. And, you know, and then I guess the one video that a lot of people were directing me to was Av's video. They were saying how he got upset because I mentioned his name wrong. And like he got all upset about it and everything like that. And that was nowhere near where I was taking that video. So sorry about that if you felt that way, brother. But I'm just going to be totally 100% and honest with everybody. I know a lot of you guys see me here on YouTube, and I know a lot of you guys feel that this is like my main thing. And I'm here to tell you that it's not. I know, y'all see me do a lot of videos and stuff like that. But the reason why I do a lot of videos is because I have a lot of time on my hands, because YouTube does not pay me anything compared to what I get paid from like my publishing and everything else. Okay. So YouTube is fun to me. It's fun to go out here and to make tutorials. It's fun working with companies. It's fun to meet up and coming producers, writers, engineers, artists, just musicians. It's fun to meet people like when I'm walking on the Beltline, or if I'm in certain places, or just throughout my neighborhood and stuff like that. It's fun doing this. It's fun trying to teach things. It's fun trying to show products. You know what I'm saying? And even sometimes I might make a little money off of a little bit of affiliate marketing, which, a lot of people think, oh man, all Bolo dudes, he just sells. Which, yeah, I always mention some affiliate marketing, but pretty much it's on the consumer to decide if they want to buy something or not. I'm not holding a gun in nobody's head saying you got to buy this. This is the best thing ever. You got to do it. I always try to make a disclaimer and say, hey, if this is something that you think that will fit you, pick it up or try it out. But I don't never try to force nobody to buy anything like, you got to get this right now, or your mix is going to be destroyed, or you got to buy this certain keyboard, or if you're not, then you're a terrible producer. I try not to do none of that stuff. What I try to do is have fun, because if I don't do YouTube, I pretty much live like a retiree. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times during the day, I don't do much. So most of the artists, they like to come in the afternoons, evenings, and at nighttime. So during that time, that's when I'm working with artists, or even my own artists that I have. And that's like the times when we kind of get in and do work. So during the day, I'm pretty much living like a retiree, and I'm living like a father, because I have 5 kids ranging from 23 to 5 months old, and I'm very active. So we go out of town, we do a lot of stuff throughout the city, and I'm a coach. My kids are in sports. So I have to take care of all of that and still do some YouTube. And with the time that I have, I try to pump out as much stuff, because this is fun to do, along with making beats and stuff like that. It's fun. It's fun buying camera gear and trying to get the best looks and trying to learn, different techniques and stuff like that. All of this stuff is fun to me. And I try to make it fun. I try to make it eventful, and I try to give the best information that I can. And sometimes I may be wrong. Sometimes I may be off a little bit, and I can, say that we all make mistakes sometimes. It's nothing wrong with, making mistakes. You just got to learn from your mistakes. One thing I've learned about being on this platform is that people are very unforgiving if you do make mistakes, but you just got to kind of roll with the punches. That's just how this thing works. And, what I've always tried to say about me being on this platform is, it's not a necessity for me to be on this platform. It's not out of a necessity, because at the end of the day, I have multiple multi-platinum songs. I know a lot of y'all like to go to what's it called, the discography or whatever it is. A lot of that stuff is not updated. But if you just really look me up in some of the songs that I've done, I have multiple songs that are multi-platinum. I have multiple songs that went gold. I have multiple songs that went just platinum. Okay. And I have a song that is basically a cultural hit. Watch Me Whip, Watch Me Nay Nay. It's a cultural hit. It is a diamond record. The only reason why I don't have the diamond plaque, because it hasn't been like certified through the label, which I'm working on that to get somebody the capital so they can go ahead and like recertify that so I can get my diamond plaque, because I got total with all of my streams right now, I'm over 4 billion streams. Okay, for all of my songs, getting close to 5 billion. And most of those songs, I was just the only producer on it. Or if I did write, I was a writer on that record, and I got a pretty good amount of publishing for it. So at the end of the day, I'm blessed to be where I'm at. I'm blessed to have the time to do this, and I'm blessed to be able to come on here and show you guys some of my production techniques, which I try to tell people all the time. I'm more or less an engineer that just so happens to know how to produce. And am I the best producer in the world? Hell no. Am I the best engineer in the world? Hell no. Am I the best rapper in the world? Definitely not. Am I the best writer in the world? Nope. Am I the best at anything I do? You know, I think I'm the best dad in the world. You know, me personally. But I've always said that I'm decent in everything that I do. It's just that I've had my breaks. And in this music industry, I've had not a second chance, a third chance, or fourth. I probably had a whole bunch of chances before the age of 34 when I had my biggest record made, when I made my biggest record. That really took me over the top. I've had some success before that, but nothing like what it was when I made Watch Me Nate. Okay? Never thought I would ever make a song like that, but it happened. And it got me into a lot of rooms. It got me into a lot of places, and it's got me a lot of respect amongst my peers. That's why I work with a lot of people that you guys know. Like, it's a lot of producers that you guys know that y'all respect, that I can sit here and I can call, I can talk to them, because we are actually friends. Like, we don't talk about music all the time. We actually talk about sports. We talk about relationships. We talk about a lot of things. I know you might not see me in the studio with a lot of these guys, because a lot of these guys don't want to be filmed. They don't want to be all the time just with the camera in their face like that. So sometimes you got to respect some people's privacy, unless they want to be seen like that, which a lot of them are, because they're seeing the power of, you know, doing YouTube and social media and stuff like that. But you got to think, a lot of these guys, they just want to produce records. They don't want to do the whole social media thing. And at the end of the day, like, that's what they do, but this is what I do.
How you doing?
And they respect it. They respect, like, what I've been doing and how I even got to this point right now. And, you know, for anybody who's out here and they watch my videos or whatever, I'm really just trying to have fun. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to do anything negative, because you guys know I don't put out any type of negative. Yeah. Anything negative, I try not to put it out. Now, I did do
Hope you're having a good one now.
a negative video a couple months ago, and I think it was like, you know, fake YouTube producers and stuff like that, which was basically a video that was not aimed towards one particular person or anybody. And basically what I was trying to say in that video, because sometimes I get to rambling and I just start talking and it'll just be like all over the place, which, you know, a lot of you guys told me that, you know, you like these type of videos because I'm just speaking for real. I'm speaking.
They're hanging out. I was just doing some music and kind of
straight from the heart, not trying to piece together a video to make it just be perfect.
About an hour or two.
But I did make that video, and some people felt offended by it or whatever. But really, I was not like trying to call out anybody for their production techniques. I was not trying to say like, oh, you can't show people how to EQ stuff, or how to, you know, produce a certain way, or how to pick the right sounds, or, you know, whatever. I wasn't basically, you know, talking about that. What I was basically talking about was people trying to give music industry advice to people who have never been in the music industry.
You said you couldn't hear my voice. You can't hear me?
That's why
you can't hear me.
That's why I come on.
Daughter. Hi, daughter.
A lot of hot takes.
Yeah, I'm streaming. What up, though?
Things.
Yeah, so what's going on, Jack?
That's what.
What up, Jack?
Yeah.
Good morning, Kobe.
Better than.
I know that, right? Good morning, kiddo.
Basically.
What's up?
It seems as if no one's available to take me to go and
So
get my vehicle.
with that,
Mhm.
I did do that one video.
I was just wondering
Yeah.
if you'd be available.
Just about daily.
Later
Every
today.
other day.
How to be.
What time?
Guys have
Between 4 to
noticed
6.
haven't been
I
doing
really need to move
any
before that.
product
I need to go to the ATM.
certain things.
Okay. So what I got to do? Come and pick you up
We'll
and
try
take
to,
you over there.
companies will try to get you
Yes, please.
plug in.
Wait,
I know
is the bank even open on the weekend?
Yeah.
And the
ATM is
thing
always
about it
open.
is not about how many
Things are
likes
always
are.
open.
I was like,
Do I have a favorite game?
This channel, nothing to do.
Not a favorite game, but right now we're actually in the I've been playing Clear Obscure, and
However,
that's I've been playing.
you know, he'll call.
I don't know, but you know what I've been on my Switch? I got a Switch, and so I've been kind of playing Mario Kart. I just beat Mario Wonder,
Doing that,
but I'm looking forward to Ninja Gaiden. I'm playing Rage Bound.
I can
I'm just waiting for these new ones to come
shed
out.
some light to not just
My kid looking at me crazy, but yeah. You got a favorite game? What game do you play? What systems do you have?
There's certain factors in it.
So what you say, like at about 3?
Hit certain parts, cut certain things.
You thinking like 3?
And what one thing that I always say on it.
You think about like 3?
Said it times before.
Can you beat me by 3?
Not about.
Sure.
That again. Not about the.
It's not. Wait, do you know SS Chris?
No.
You can talk to somebody many times. Try to explain things.
SS Chris.
Yeah.
They cannot comprehend certain things.
But anyway,
like me, make certain videos about me. I can comprehend what they're saying. I can get it. I can comprehend, and I can take it in. I can say, understand. Sometimes I like the video, even if people are trying to sideways attack me. That's what with being nobody's not everything. Hardcore.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be trying to leave you in the middle of a purchase like that. That sounds crazy. But you know, all right. I'll be at your house about 3 o'clock. Let you know when I'm headed that way.
And they'll call sometimes, say, "Hey, bro, I know about this. What you think
Love
about
you
this?
too.
We, certain products or
See you later.
type of dialogue, but it's contained in music.
My daughter's crazy.
But one thing that I always say, a lot of people.
I'm sorry, you still can't hear me now? Hopefully you can hear me now. I did probably have the volume up
In my body. Not one. And
In
even
the video
if
long,
there's
Bolo.
certain
I didn't know he was
situations
gonna
to where
go
I
through all
felt
that.
like I was so old.
I didn't know he was gonna do it. That was good though. But
There's a marketing trend that's existed for far too long now. It's been years, and it's more cringe than when all companies tried to use Gangnam Style to promote their brand. It's this fixation on diluting all logos to just be bold text with the company name, just this minimalist garbage where it removes all fun and whimsy and personality and completely erases all creativity of logos and just reduces them to the company name on a very
you could have
bland
kept Cracker
palette.
Barrel what it
It's
was,
like
man.
the most
You coulda
sterile
kept it
shit
just as
ever.
is.
It's not interesting. I think it super
cares?
sucks, but this has been the norm
I had one of them
for
candies,
corpo dog shit
giant
for a
little
while.
candy balls
I still
from-
think the
oh,
most
good.
infamous example is when
And
Staples
tasty.
made an entire E3
Love
press
that.
conference to unveil their new logo,
syrup.
where they removed the iconic Staples logo to make this, and then they had like paid shills in the audience going, "Yeah! Whee!" all over like this Staples logo unveiling, which again, nobody cares about. It's a worse logo. All you've done is just make a worse logo. And now Cracker Barrel has finally followed suit where they redesigned their logo, and man, did it hit them hard where it hurts the most.
Jeez.
Right in their fucking precious nutsack of money. Pretty much overnight, they lost roughly $100 million in value. Their stock took a
Dang.
nosedive into the shitter here. And of course,
Sounds about right. Goodness. Okay. So yeah, so I'm definitely waiting for this. So Ninja Gaiden is supposed to be coming out, I think, in October. So in like 2 months, and I'm extremely excited about it. Well, I've been playing Rage Bound right now though, and I think I want to get Metal Gear, but I mean I have the old Metal Gear, so I don't know if I really needed to get that or not. But you know,
Video games are the only medium that I think capable of making that experience it for the first time again fancy a reality, or as close to one as we're going to get. Time puts distance between us and the emotionally significant moments we cherish, but it also brings us closer to technologies that are exciting and can make the old feel new. In the right hands, those technologies can create opportunities to stoke those same profound emotions again, even if it's just a little bit. And Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater does exactly that.
yeah, I'm interested in this. I
Before
do
getting
wanna
into
play.
what's new, what can't be overlooked in making Delta such a good game is the fact that Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater remains a compelling, well-told story that has strong characterization and deals with some heavy subject matter. It approaches this with a strange mixture of self-seriousness and complete irreverence that is uniquely Metal Gear Solid. And for my money, balances both parts better than any other entry in the series. The stellar stealth is supported by systems that feed into the
that looks
fantasy
cool to
of
me.
surviving in the jungle
I need to,
and braving the elements, whether that be hunting for food or patching yourself up after sustaining injuries. Delta replicates it and, in my opinion, is better for it. The excellent work that the original Metal Gear Solid 3 dev team did remains the heart and soul of Delta, and it continues to shine. Visual changes are the most noticeable contributor to elevating Metal Gear Solid 3 for Delta. While its fresh coat may have been painted on in the most clinical manner possible, that shouldn't take away from the fact that it makes Metal Gear Solid 3 a third-person stealth action game about sneaking through jungles, taking out soldiers, and uncovering vast interlocking Cold War conspiracies feel alive again. Delta looks absolutely stunning, jaw-dropping at times. In the jungle areas, the environments have the vibrancy and life that you'd expect to come from the naturality of green grass, towering trees, thick mud, decaying bricks, and worn wood. But it never feels artificial, and in fact, feels like it makes good on the Cold War era Soviet Union set vibe in the same way that the original did. I have no doubt that there will be discussions about the game's visuals looking like a dispassionate implementation.
I need
of
all the
Unreal
feedback.
Engine. Despite the fact that games like Fortnite prove it's a misnomer at this point, Delta at times can look like it has the muted greyish, brownish industrial footprint that people criticize the Unreal Engine for. But upon closer inspection of both individual details and how it all coalesces, it becomes evident that skilled artists with a clear vision and direction have poured time and effort into elevating Delta above that. The Unreal Engine sheen is replaced with touches that come together to give authenticity to the muddy floors, the wet stone walls, and metal rusted looking enough that you worry about Snake getting tetanus. And much of that is reflected on the character models too. Snake's body, whether you're wearing clothes or not, will pick up the dirt and grime of whatever he comes into contact with. Sometimes even foliage in the environment will stick to him. In a similar fashion, damage is accurately represented on his body and can lead to scars or marks becoming visible. Counterintuitively, playing the game so that you rarely take damage robs you of the opportunity to see this impressive level of detail though. Every single character in the game looks intricately detailed and, I dare say, lifelike at times. Original Metal Gear Solid 3 director Hideo Kojima's flair for cinematic framing benefits from the new visuals, since there are a number of close-up shots of faces, or slow motion movements to intensify action sequences. If you didn't know this is exactly how it was in the original, you'd think that Konami was doing all this to show off how good the graphics are in Delta. The character models look vastly improved, and in particular the lighting is spectacular. The game takes Snake through a variety of different times of day and cycles through different types of weather, and it's genuinely impressive how the terrain is impacted and how the overall atmosphere and feel changes. Stepping out into the open in broad daylight when the sun is bearing down left me feeling exposed and desperate to quickly throw myself into nearby grass or behind a wall to cut off sight lines. Sneaking through a jungle at night, with surroundings illuminated only by moonlight and the threat of soldiers suddenly popping up because of limited visibility, was tense, even though I had a good memory of enemy locations and patrol patterns. When the game moves into internal locations, such as labs and enemy bases, things become a little less interesting, but it's still impressive in their visual fidelity. There are so many details that I want to talk about in Delta, but getting to see just how thorough Konami has been with the visual overhaul is genuinely one of the joys of playing the game. What the limitations of old hardware left to the imagination, the power of modern technology now depicts in glorious detail. A great deal of appreciation for what Delta achieves comes from my intimate familiarity with Metal Gear Solid 3. I have played the game so many times that every screen of it is burned into my mind. So seeing what I'm so familiar with, but with a level of detail that was simply impossible in the 2000s and by modern standards is best in class, was often very arresting. I'm sure that almost everyone can objectively agree that Delta looks great, but for people like me, the effect of an appreciation for the new visuals goes far beyond. Metal Gear Solid has never looked this good. What's more uniformly appreciable for everyone, however, is the new control scheme and the gameplay tweaks implemented to accommodate them. A big part of modernizing Metal Gear Solid 3 has been switching to smoother movement and aiming. For the former, Konami has implemented animations and transitions that bring the game closer to the fluidity of Metal Gear Solid 5. Instead of jarringly switching from standing to crouching and then crawling, Snake now naturally moves between the different states and can transition while in motion, which makes navigating environments while using obstacles as hiding opportunities frictionless. Similarly, the way Snake moves his body when laying down and aiming is smooth. It's not quite as robust as what you can do in MGS5, and crawling can sometimes still feel a bit unwieldy, but it's much improved. Complementing the freer and more fluid movement is a tighter viewpoint that brings the camera close to Snake, adopting the familiar over-the-shoulder perspective for aiming in third person. This means you can be far more precise with shots, since Snake, his aiming trajectory, and what you're aiming at are always in view. Those who haven't played it may be shocked to hear that that wasn't always the case in the original, which had a restricted isometric viewpoint and then more of a controllable camera in the subsistence version. In both cases, it made for some awkward gameplay moments. The one trade-off with all this is the fact that Snake's newfound efficiency in movement and proficiency with firearms does trivialize a lot of the boss fights, which make up the bulk of the coolest parts of the game. If you're new to the game, you'll still find they present a good challenge, since each one has quirks that need to be figured out. However, if you know what you're doing, you can tear through them very quickly. It doesn't feel like I was able to dispatch them considerably faster than if I tried on PS2 today, but being able to see more, get around more easily, and shoot better means that the members of the Cobra unit feel even more like pushovers now. That is, except for the end. That old geezer is still a geriatric menace. Delta isn't completely free of issues. Alongside the new perspective, there's a new cover system that has a certain stickiness to it that can be frustrating at times. It's not quite the Gears of War glued to the wall level, but more of a gravitational pull towards walls, particularly the corners. That meant that I would accidentally snap into cover when I didn't intend to, particularly in the smaller rooms where the camera is close and there are boxes around Snake. On the one hand, intentionally going into the corner cover is appealing because it's much easier to pop out and fire a shot off with the new over-the-shoulder aiming system. But on the other, I didn't find myself using that method very much, since I could now reliably shoot from the hip or quickly swap into first-person mode and then fire off a shot. So all in all, the system ends up getting in the way for me. When it comes to the other new additions, for the most part they make sense and don't drastically alter the gameplay experience, instead enhancing it. One is the introduction of a specific button that can be held to enter into a stalking mode that slows Snake's movements down and makes him much quieter. It can be used when walking, crouch walking, or crawling. Think of it as the slow walk that you'd get from tilting the analog stick on the PS2 slightly. Initially, I didn't really understand why this was necessary and felt it wasn't that useful since I was moving so slowly. But then I realized it was crucial if you want to sneak up on enemies to hold them up or get them in a CQC move. The enemies in Delta have much better awareness and perception, so if you slow walk or crouch walk behind a soldier without holding the stalking button, they will hair snake and chaos will erupt. I haven't felt my palms get sweaty while playing Metal Gear Solid 3 in many years, but I was wiping my hands on my jeans frequently while playing Delta. Enemies can now also see much further and have better awareness of what's above or below them. I was surprised to find that I aroused suspicions from positions that I know for sure are safe in the original game. On top of that, some of the weapons behave a little differently. In particular, as someone who prefers a non-lethal playstyle and relies on the MK22 for it, physics comes into play and bullet drop is more severe. So you can't easily send tranq darts into heads from long distances. Even at close range, you need to account for the changes in trajectory. I went in thinking I could carry on running rings around enemies and putting them to sleep quickly, but found myself burning through ammo reserves and silencers due to the changes in gun behavior. The same goes for recoil on assault rifles and sway on the RPG during the escape sequence. So careful where you're firing those rockets. The remaining differences come largely as quality of life tweaks. A new compass that is accessed from the equipment menu will pop up in the corner and point the way to the next objective when equipped. The life, stamina and camo index have been moved to the bottom middle of the screen, freeing up the rest of it so you can soak in the visuals. The camo and face paint swap feature can be accessed through a shortcut assigned to the D-pad, but uses predetermined combinations, so there's still value in going into the full menu and individually selecting your desired outfit and face paint. The codec can also be accessed through a D-pad shortcut, which makes getting into the save screen much.
Yeah, definitely want that kid. Okay, my bad. I was just trying to everybody playing that Metal Gear, bro. That's cool. That was cool, little bro.
Late last night, Lyle Menendez was denied parole after a day-long hearing in California. The parole board acknowledged Menendez has shown remorse for the 1989 murder of his parents, but ultimately rejected his appeal for freedom. Lyle and Eric Menendez have been in prison since 1996. The brothers say they killed their parents in an act of self-defense after years of sexual abuse by their father. Just a day earlier, Eric Menendez had his parole request denied, and this morning, for the first time, we're hearing what Eric said during that hearing. Carter Evans has that story.
57-year-old Lyle Menendez's hearing came the day after the parole board turned down his brother Eric's request to be released from prison after nearly 30 years.
You doing okay? You need a break?
No, I'm fine.
Friday's decision was delayed when an audio recording was published from Eric's hearing Thursday, where he explained why he didn't spare his mother's life after he discovered she was aware of the sexual abuse by his father and did nothing to stop it.
When I found out that she knew, I no longer saw him and her as different. Had she not been in the room, maybe it would have been different. It would have been different. I wish to God I did not do that.
Eric was also asked why he didn't just leave home.
Just the person I was then, and what I believed about the world and my parents, running away was inconceivable. Running away meant death. That was never going to happen.
With the support of more than a dozen Menendez family members, Eric, who was 18, and Lyle, 21 at the time of the murders, told the parole board they were changed by 3 decades in prison. In denying their release, the parole board made clear both Eric and Lyle Menendez should remain behind bars because they believe they still pose a risk to the public. In a statement after the hearing, the Menendez family said they are incredibly proud of Eric and Lyle, and this is not the end of the road. The brothers will be eligible for parole again in years. For CBS Saturday Morning, I'm Carter Evans in Los Angeles.
Tyson Bagent gets signed by the Chicago Bears. And we all know, obviously, this is when Justin Fields was there. Bagent got some run because Fields, as we all know, hurt his hand trying to extend a football play that he shouldn't have. Long story short, Bagent shows some ability. And now Caleb Williams is there. And one is wondering, at any point in time, is Tyson Bagent maybe somebody that can get traded away? Like, do you want to keep him? Do you want to send him? And the reason why we're talking about him today is the Bears decided to not only keep him, but enrich him. And I kind of dig this for various reasons, but certainly when we're talking about, hey, $30 million a year is not enough for a player.
You're not gonna sit here and bad about Tyson Bagent, man. That man been out here getting it. He deserved that little bit of money, though. He deserved that little bit of money, though. I would love it. That's for sure. What song is that? What's this? Oh, cause the ROM. The ROM was on it. Well, I was finna be like, why would they? I forgot to swap it out. Why don't you tell me, Clara? I just need like another extra layer underneath the background. But I love you, man. What you doing, Luki? Boy. So. Take a little moment. Freshen up. I look crazy. I've been at it all morning. I was waiting on your question, Clara, but you didn't ask. So I hope I'm saying right. Laura. I hope I'm saying that right. But I was waiting for the question you didn't ask. So I'll pull back up in a little bit. And just know y'all be weird. Y'all wait until I close out before y'all start trying to watch. I just seen my watch count just go up. I hate that shit. Just tune in when I'm watching. Don't wait until it's over with. That's just so corny. All right, I'm out.